Good evening and welcome back to a regular meeting of the Burbank City Council on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. Today's study session item is a discussion regarding the Burbank Bus Comprehensive Operations Analysis. Welcome to Karen Pan to please present the report. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of Council. Karen Pan, Transportation Services Manager for Burbank Bus. We have a great asset in our community where we have the opportunity to provide a local transit system for over 30 years that can serve residents, employers, employees, and visitors. And with every great asset, it is best practice to change when needed, understand where our transportation gaps are, and find ways to better service existing and new population. Burbank Bus provides a travel alternative to more than 100,000 people who commute into the city each day, as well as future residents of more than 12,000 housing units Burbank is planning to construct as part of the general plan and housing element goals. We are here today because in February 2023, Council directed staff to remove a third route for Burbank Bus due to low ridership observed during post-pandemic recovery, the green route. In eliminating that green route, the Council also expressed concern that Burbank Bus may no longer be meeting the city's transportation objectives, especially given changes to the travel over the last several years. And this presentation is to show staff's analysis known as the Burbank Bus Comprehensive Operation Analysis, but refer to COA to save my breath. And staff is requesting approval on the Burbank Bus COA, including reaffirming the city's service design policies, approving the 4 proposed bus route recommendations, implementing near-term improvements to the orange route with no budget amendment, and seeking additional opportunities of funding to secure, and once funding is secured, implement the bus recommendations. The COA started in January of 2025, evaluating existing conditions, 2 community engagement phases, and recommendations that will be shared during the presentation. The COA includes 6 components, which we'll go over each one. So what Burbank Bus looks like today is that there's 2 routes, orange and pink. Both run during the weekdays from 5:30 to either 10 to 11 p.m. Fare is $1 compared to Metro, which is $1.75. And Burbank Bus also offers free fares to Burbank middle and high school students and eligible programs such as Life and Go Pass. This slide shows monthly ridership by each route. And last fiscal year, Burbank Bus provided close to 190,000 rides, and Pink Route having the highest ridership. The next slide shows ridership performance by the revenue hours, meaning operating hours, pre and post-COVID, to see if there's any comparison. And this shows ridership performance has slightly decreased for Orange Route, while Pink Route has slightly increased post-COVID. Through existing data, staff can also see average daily boardings per hour, and this graph shows ridership highest during peak hours in the morning and close to the evenings. The next component of the COA also looks at who might benefit from better transit today. So from pooling census data, staff can use data available such as income and age, and to make assumptions where transit might be needed. For example, someone with limited income or someone who is in high school might not have access to a vehicle today and may rely on other transportation modes. And this map shows demographics and characteristics where these residents may live. The darker shade of green, north above the 5 freeway and south endpoint of Meta District, shows a greater need of access to public transit. And this tells staff where we should be focusing on in terms of education and marketing opportunities in that area to inform people about our public resource for Burbank Bus. The next component is where we are trying to go, and this focuses on big data. The big data that we used for this analysis was with Replica. Replica is a third-party data that uses phone GPS data, public data sets from government, land use and transportation networks, for updated routes, building and land use, and transport data on traffic volumes, bike and pedestrian counts, and this was used. And we'll also go over land use projects, travel pattern data, and as well as public and stakeholder input and the first community engagement. Land use. This map shows you blue dots of where approved and pending approval development projects are happening in Burbank and how many new residents are and will be built. Most developments are occurring on the outskirts of the city, and the city is also working on 4 specific plans focusing on the needs of each neighborhood. Other projects that are happening in Burbank are the Metro Bus Rapid Transit, BRT, that'll pass through Burbank, shown in yellow on the screen. And MetroLink also has a pedestrian and capital improvement at the MetroLink station in downtown. And so through that replica data, that big data, we can also pull trips that are originating in Burbank and where they are going to in Burbank. And the data shows that trips starting and ending in Burbank hit 3 key areas in the city: downtown Burbank, Empire Corridor, and the Media District. And then from there, we can see the age of travelers to those key destinations. In those 3 major centers, Burbank age distribution is relatively similar, except in downtown area, which has a slightly higher proportion of travelers that are 65 and older compared to the Empire and Media District, and the Empire Corridor having a smaller portion of youth compared to the downtown Media District. We can also see trips going to the major centers. So most of the activities are in the high and late afternoon, reflecting changes in work patterns, and even trips to Media District that are steady until 3 p.m. We can also see those trips from those major centers by time, and trips leaving the Media District drops after 6 p.m., while downtown and Empire Corridor drops off around 8 o'clock. We can also see trip purposes, and trip purposes shopping is the highest in the Empire Corridor, and there's other purposes such as work and errands. To further understand where people are going, staff went straight to the source by gathering input from others as well. Staff talked to current bus operators, neighboring city bus operators, including Santa Clarita, Antelope Valley, Glendale Beeline, who is also conducting their COA right now, MetroLink, local leaders such as Chamber of Commerce, Home Again LA, Kiwanis, Burbank Transportation Management Organization, Senior Citizen Board, Youth Board, and representatives of the public. The survey was open for 2.5 months to the public, advertising during public announcements, social media, where you saw my face, every Monday, asking people to take our survey, and there was advertisements at bus shelters and special presentation at community groups to tell them about the project and survey. Additionally, there were onboarding observations where we rode the bus to see the day-to-day activities on the bus and the bus stops. So common themes, there's top 6 themes where across the board there was mention about maintaining services to downtown Burbank, as well as the airport, adding services to Magnolia Park, and improving connections to other transit services and extended hours. And this could be related to late in the evening as well as weekend service. The next component of the COA is what we heard and what we learned from the community. Based on the data and community input, staff came up with different bus route designs. And so the second phase of the community engagement is to say, okay, we want to hear from you. We came up with these routes. What do you think? And the second phase was refining those recommendations, and we received positive feedback from various groups. Staff is here to provide the final recommendations to council for the service design policy. Staff is recommending to keep the policy for service design, but slightly update the narratives. We should still have services that is frequent, operating all day, meaning morning and night, point to point, as well as having regional transit connection. Now, the official recommendation is our dream. The 4 dream is to improve the orange route, to develop a north-southbound route along Buena Vista, keep the pink route and monitor the BRT, as well as move forward to a fully realized system of having those 3 routes in Burbank. So for the orange route, the proposed is the thick dark line, and then the dotted line is where the current route makes the loop around the airport. So if you're starting from the North Hollywood station through this proposed route, you would hit the airport, the Empire Shopping Area, Burbank High School along Glen Oaks, south of Alameda, heading towards Trader Joe's and Walgreens, and making your way to downtown and having a better connection to Metrolink Santa Clarita, Glendale B-Line, as well as LA Metro's future BRT line along Glen Oaks and Olive. The second recommendation is the Buena Vista route, the north-southbound connection, looking at one of the attachments. So from the north, it makes a small loop at the Hollywood Way in Cohasset, going down from Burbank North Metrolink Station, Woodbury University, south along Buena Vista, and ending near St. Province Hospital, North Alameda, going north on Alameda, hitting major employers on Alameda, and to downtown, having a similar connection to the orange and pink route. This fills the north-south transit gap that we have today in Burbank, and it also connects to residential areas of undeserved areas of Burbank bus, and then connects to the Media District and the Empire Corridor travel market, and it provides a bi-directional service. The third route is to monitor the pink route. Pink route it can be considered for the local travel due to the number of stops, while BRT can be related to more of a regional travel due to limited bus stops. The fourth recommendation is to move towards a fully realized system where the routes meet service design policies and find funding sources to support the transit system. So after the second phase of community engagement was done, staff noticed that there was a strong support and a connection that there was a major destination for the orange route. And so this was more of a conversation, well, if we have to use existing funds today, what can we do to get closer to that dream? And so we've modified and provided a kind of a near-term solution where we can make a modified route to the orange, ending at the Empire Center and making its loop back to the North Hollywood Center. So today, Burbank Bus is $2.8 million annually. The dream to a fully transit system is $5.2 million. And I want to clarify that if we do add weekends, it would be closer to $7.25 million, adding more. And then if we do the short-term orange route, it would be either no cost or about $150,000 per year more, depending on the number of stops, frequency that we would need time to take a look at. Transportation Commission has been involved in this effort, and we've had 3 meetings with them. They voted in favor of the COA and the listed recommendations. And this concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions. I'm also here with my colleague Jeremiah LaRose from Fair and Peers, who took on this journey with us and drafted the COA.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Colleagues, any questions, comments? Who would like to start? Vice Mayor?
Thank you. No questions. I just want to really applaud staff for being creative and coming up with the additional route. I mean, it's very important to reach the Empire Center, given that it's a really busy area. We know that a lot of sales tax generate from Empire, so it's good to allow our residents or people who are visiting Burbank to go through the entire route. And I'm definitely in support of having the bus going all the way the orange route, the one you presented today. Of course, hoping in the future that we can have additional funding that we can expand and offer option 2, 3, and 4. But as you indicated here, it looks like a total of $5.2 million for everything. But that's not impossible, right? We can definitely work towards that goal sometime in the near future, or in the future, I shouldn't say near. So thank you for presenting this.
Thank you. Councilmember Rosati? Councilmember Rosati, do you have You're good? All right, Councilmember Perez.
I just had one question. This is way back when. I think this was our very first council meeting when we looked at this. But one of the things that I believe former Councilmember Schultz and also Mayor Takahashi, you brought up, were looking at our rideshare systems here. So Uber, Lyft, and also Metro Micro, and seeing if there was a way to get their data and study their patterns of travel. Did we ever end up looking at that to inform kind of the routes here?
Thank you for that question. For this project, we communicated with LA Metro about this project, so they're aware of it and how it compares to the work that they're doing, whether it's the BRT, Metro Micro. We do have ridership information about Metro Micro, and it shows that it's been steady for the last 3 years on what they see with their ridership in Burbank. Right now, it's about 3,000 to 5,000 rides per month for Metro Micro in the last 3 years. So that number is very similar to Orange Route, where we're hitting about similar numbers. What is great about the Orange Route today is that it's the only transit system that has a connection from the NoHo station to the airport. And so because of that resource for the community, it's valued to keep Orange Route and make some modifications since Metro isn't able to meet that needs. But we do have similar numbers in terms of like the number of ridership compared to Metro Micro. And for compared to Pink Route is about around 10,000 rides per month. So it's kind of double compared to the Metro Micro.
And in terms of the route, do we have any data on, and this may not be a set number, may not be that there were any patterns, but were we able to see if there was any kind of repeated rides, like, boy, folks are really riding Metro Micro in downtown a lot, or?
Not with Metro Micro, but we do have it with our data itself. In the COA, it outlines the existing data tool that we have to see the number of boarding alignments that happen at that specific stop. And so we'll highlight how much of a demand is at this bus stop versus that bus stop. So we could see that there's definitely a lower number of rides that are happening along Buena Vista and Burbank Boulevard. And most of the stops occur at those major destinations like the airport and the NoHo station.
And what about use of ride share? Because I think what we were looking for last time was to see if there are any patterns, like people keep taking Ubers from the hillside to the airport, right? Is this a gap that we could fill? Were we able to talk with them to see if they were willing to share some of that data?
Do you want to help answer that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. In a general sense, the patterns that people use Lyft and Uber for would be captured by the replica data because that's a much broader data source that captures a sample of everybody's trips and includes some app-based data that would be similar to what Lyft and Uber do. In our work as a consulting firm, Lyft and Uber tend not to share their specific trip data, even if they sort of anonymized it. It's not generally available for us to use on a project like this.
Okay, thank you. I figured that might be the answer, but it was worth an ask. Other than that, I don't really have questions. I just think I know it's quite a hefty dollar tag, but if we had to pick one, to me, it feels like the Orange Route feels like a priority right now, given that it really reaches into downtown Burbank and into those areas that are in need, while the Pink Route seems to be steady, and we also have the BRT that's coming in place. So that really seems to be the area that reaches downtown Burbank, which seems to be where a lot of ridership is looking to go. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you so much for putting so much thought and attention and thoroughness into this process. And, as a bus rider, regular bus rider, seeing the COA is very exciting to me. And I'm glad to see that the Transportation Commission voted 7-0, that the community was very favorable. I think it, one of the hopes I've had over the years is that there was some kind of circulator around the city, and this 3-line kind of triangle sort of, it does essentially the same function. And it allows for a circulator while also connecting point to point, 2 points in each route, important areas. So I think it's a very smart route, and eventually when the blue line is added, going up Buena Vista is a gap in our transportation system. We do have the 222 from Metro going up Hollywood Way, which I think a lot of people do take, but it's so far west of the Empire Center, and it's not down near the immediate district. So there's a gap in the middle, and the blue line absolutely covers that. So I appreciate that. I do have some questions about the orange line and the near-term solution I'm curious about. A lot of thought, and it seems like a lot of concentration and looking for feedback was about the ultimate orange line option. But I'm curious, how did you get to this near-term solution version? And why did you choose this version versus keeping the old orange line or going straight to the new orange line, which is the one that the folks seem to appreciate?
Thank you for that question. So for Orange Route was, there's two main components. The data shows that there is that need to get to those destinations and make that connection. And through the engagement, whether it was the first or second phase of it, there was a lot of good feedback and relatability to be able to go to those destinations. And we realized that through that effort, that's what we're missing today with the orange route. They understand it goes to the airport, and that's great, but there was no other connection that they could make along the Buena Vista and Burbank Boulevard that was able for them to be able to go to. We do have small riderships at those stops, and because the data shows that there isn't that much, and that maybe if we have a better connection along that on the Buena Vista, maybe having a longer connection from the north-southbound would be a better solution than providing a small segment just through the orange route where you can't really meet any of those destinations. And so we took that into consideration from the community feedback, where a lot of people made that connection to the Empire Corridor and say, great, I can go there afterwards. And the conversation became of, okay, well, we're hearing a lot of great feedback about Orange Route, but what can we really do today, knowing that we can't afford all the extension to downtown? And so we had the opportunity to figure out, like, if we were to stop somewhere with our existing budget, where can we stop at? Is it closer to the Empire Avenue, near REI? Is it going to be closer to all the way to Walmart? What are the challenges and obstacles getting along to Empire Avenue? How does that compare to other bus routes that are along that route? Especially with LA Metro. And so we came to where we think is a good place. We still have to test it out to see if it can work, and the limited amount of, opportunity and resources there. There is a lot of traffic there. And so we have this really great opportunity. Once you get to Empire Avenue, you make that loop around Valpreda because it also hits other major employers as well as hotel before you actually get to the airport. And so knowing that what our existing resources are based on the community feedback and that data, that's what we came up with as a concept. But again, we'll still need to test it for a few months to see the safety of it, the reliability on the time performance before implementation. So it'll probably take a couple of months after approval or after any other recommendations for it to be implemented. We'll need to create bus stops for it. We'll need to communicate with LA Metro and other transit agencies about their bus time schedule, like what works, because we want to be able to have that connection. So if someone were to take LA Metro, but they also want to use Burbank bus, we don't want them to wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We wanted them to wait as short as possible. And so we'll need that time to look at schedules, coordinating with other transit agencies to make sure that that route, that loop works out.
Okay. Do you happen to know, to your point about Metro, are there any Metro buses that go from the airport bus station to Empire Center that this would be possibly overlapping with?
Yes, let me just double check. I know it's part of attachment 2, but let me just triple check
Thank
so I
you.
don't misspeak.
Just coming to mind right now, because I'm wondering, as you're looking that up, I think it's a great idea to extend out to the Empire Center, because that's clearly a point of interest for folks.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm a little bit concerned with if it gets implemented, because it probably will be a few years, maybe a year, couple of years before we start expanding it out, being able to move. So it'll become, even though it's near-term solution, it's temporary, it'll be there long enough to be, a route that people get used to and that we know data with. And I would hate to see it become, it's not really being used, so we don't want to extend it because it's not being used anyway. Since we've had this great route that actually probably will be, based on what people are giving feedback, that going to downtown will work really well. I would hate to see the numbers from this, if they're low because they're overlapping with Metro, to then be a reason not to extend it.
True. Good point. So for Metro, there's the 165 and the 294. But then again, I would work with Metro to see what their schedule looks like versus ours. We'll still need to create our schedule to see what it looks like. And the good thing about our local transit system, common things that we'll do is that if it doesn't work out and we've done all the outreach, marketing for it, we would come back to council. And it is possible to do it within a year or whatever we think is best to end that service, maybe go back to the old way or maybe think of another way. And we do have that opportunity, and we've done it in the past, to have that flexibility. Of course, we don't want to change it too much because it causes confusion to the public, but we have done it with previous routes.
Okay. Yeah, and I think, that section there, I'm curious whether folks take it from the airport to Empire Center. Let's say they have a layover for 3 hours and they want to just pop over to the Empire Center, do some shopping and then come back, or have something to eat or whatever. Or they're staying at the Marriott or something and they want to just go over there and they don't want to walk, that kind of thing. Be curious. But if and when we do implement this near-term solution, it'd be great to have maybe partnership with the airport that they can signal or advertise to folks who are coming into the airport that, hey, the Empire Center is just a bus ride away. I don't know if that's already done or not, but I think that would probably help with the success of the route and to make folks aware who maybe wouldn't otherwise think of taking the bus to the Empire Center. They would take an Uber or something, but the bus is just right there.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. It's definitely a discussion with the airport. Airport knows what we're doing with this project, and they're also helping us to improve our wayfinding signs to get to the airport. And we're also in discussions about the new airport that's happening, where that bus entrance is and how does it relate to Burbank bus. But yeah, good point. That's definitely part of meeting ridership goals and making sure that people have that better connection.
Great. And then my last question is about the upcoming Olympics and the Orange Line and its future connection to downtown Burbank. For international travelers, folks are coming in who are staying downtown or going downtown Burbank, and they may come into the airport. Any thoughts on a timeline to try to see if we can at least extend the Orange Line, if not add the Blue Line? Because Blue Line's a stretch goal or the longer term plan, but maybe extend the Orange Line by the 2028 Olympics to have that ready?
Yes, good point. I think all of us are interested in finding resources as soon as we can to make this a dream. And so it would be great if we could aim it before the Olympics. So yeah, taking notes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Excellent work on this. This is, I think, the community, at least all the feedback I got from the bus riding community that I heard, they're very, very happy with this goal eventually. Of course, we all want it faster. We want to be able to jump on that bus and get around the town easier, but the steps toward it and all the work that you put towards this plan is well received. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
All right, any other last thoughts? Okay. Then that is the end of our study session. So we will take looks like about a 20-minute break before we start our regular council session at 6. All right, see you at 6.